Hi guys, this is Allison from Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work at Connect Design, an epiphany, a mind-blowing moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are in the description box below the video. And they're not pyramids, but these are wands, and they're really damn heavy. If you're interested in something small but adorable, or something very large, or the next size down, you can check all my work out at Allylattkreations211.com, where you could just preview all the work. I do sculptural painting as well. Inexpensive. So please check that out if you are inclined to do so. The message of Aquaria, because I asked Spirit before I was like, I don't know what to do today. I wanted to do a wasp bay, but the message from this book has to go out. So this book will come first, and then I'll do a wasp bay. Chapter 10 from the message of Aquaria. The Four Winds. That's a shout out to Corey from the Time Is Now podcast. Please go check them out and support them. They're on Rumble, the Time Is Now podcast. Check them out. Amazing, amazing work that they do. And today, please go check out Sacred Valley. My angelic sister, Miss Dina, was on talking about a lot of the stuff that I talked to her about, which is incredible, and it needs to get out there to the masses. So please go check that out on Sacred Valley with Tara Crete. Four Winds. Quote, Faux Hot takes 5 strides and builds a winged wheel at each corner of the square for the 4 holy ones and their armies, end quote. Stanzas of Dizan, V. Sloka. Quote, there is a cult philosophy in the Roman Catholic doctrine which traces the various public calamities, such as epidemics of disease and wars and so on, to the invisible. Messengers from the north and west. The glory of God comes from the way of the east, says Ezekiel, while Jeremiah, Isaiah, and the psalmists assure their readers that all the evil under the sun comes from the north and west. The Secret Doctrine, Blavatsky, Volume 1. Quote, prophecy unto the wind, prophecy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the 4 winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live, end quote, Ezekiel. 4 is a number of the earth plane. It signifies the completion of earth conditions, the foundation stone upon which all that manifests on earth must be created. Its symbol is the square, the base of the pyramid. In the evolution of man, 4 indicates the 4th race of the 4th day period, when the 4 lower aspects of nature and of man had reached their perfection and were made the material basis upon which the higher aspects must manifest. Applied to man, 4 represents the understanding, the foundation which completes the merely human, and when illumined by the light of spirit, makes divinity obtainable. We're here. 4 is used in many ways in the Bible and in all other sacred scriptures, as well as in occult literature. The holy city must be laid 4 square. The mystical white stone is square, and there are 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, presided over by 4 great angels or regents, symbolized by the 4 sacred animals of Ezekiel, Daniel, and the Apocalypse, namely the bull, the lion, the eagle, and the man. In the Orient, these regents are called the 4 great kings or Maharajas. I totally butchered that, and I do apologize. And related to the 4 lands of karma, or the 4 great powers which make square, balance, or adjust the workings of the great law, that love, justice, peace, and harmony may ultimately prevail. The powers of force thus symbolized are not mere abstractions, but are intelligent, entitized forces, so often referred to in the writings of the Christian fathers as the messengers, angelic virtues, spirits, or angels. In the temples of Egypt, a great curtain was drawn over 5 pillars, separating the holy place from the congregation. This symbolized the veil which hangs between our 5 senses and the divine mysteries. We are the veil. The curtain was of 4 colors: blue, spiritual aspiration; purple, understanding of the astral; scarlet, purification of earthly conditions; and gold, truth combined out of all. Again, representing the 4 cardinal points, the 4 elements in the 4 winds. Also, the children of Israel, after their sojourn in Egypt, were instructed to make a tabernacle, which went with them during the Exodus. It was to have a veil made of purple, blue, and scarlet, to be hung upon 4 pillars of shittim, wood overlaid with gold, upon 4 sockets of silver. The whole setting in both cases symbolized that it is through the 4 powers ruling the 4 winds that our 5 senses become cognizant of the hidden mysteries of life. In other words, through the forces of which are manifested by these high rulers of the 4 winds, does man grow in the understanding of the mysteries of nature, and by relating himself to nature, of the mysteries of his own being. Primitive man learned that during the season of the east wind, spring, he must till the ground and plant the seed. During the season of the south wind, summer, the crops spring up and grow. During the west wind, autumn, the crops mature and the harvest is gathered. And during the season of the north wind, winter, all the life forces are indrawn and must lie in the tomb of winter. Also, the way of the ship in the midst of the sea, spoken of by Solomon as one of the great mysteries, had to be learned by a study of the winds. Even today, be his ships ever so marvelous, man must still reckon with the winds and tides. We find a recognition of the importance and the sacredness of the 4 elements, the 4 cardinal points, and the 4 winds in every religion and in all ages, and applying the occult axiom as above, so below. By studying the physical manifestations of the 4 winds, we can understand and correlate with the powers of which they are expressed. As we have said elsewhere, quote, the 4 beasts are symbolized the 4 corners of the earth and the 4 winds of heaven. The wind, like the breath of the physical body, is a manifestation of the spirit, which comes, we know not whence, and goeth, we know not whither. Jeremiah, Isaiah, and the Psalms assured us from the north and the west come all disease, catastrophes, and afflictions, while from the east and south come all benefits. Symbolically, this means that we turn from the spiritual sun. We have long, dark nights of cold, and we are breathing in the effluvia of the earth. whence come disease and death. Equally so when, for us, we let the spiritual sun set in the west. So true. Sorry, I had to avoid another person speaking on my computer to give me an update on something I did yesterday. Well, if we mentally face the mystic east and greet the rising of the spiritual sun or bask in its full radiance in the south continually, we can breathe in all spiritual blessings. While this is symbolically true, yet be a careful analysis of each wind, we will find that none are evil, but that all four are presided over by beneficent powers, and their manifestations are the ultimate good for mankind. Hi. We live in duality. We live by polarity. So what you read, if you read it as evil and you take it in as evil, it's going to become evil. If you take it in as good and you transmute it, it's good. It's all about transmutation. Our poor Enoch. Enoch tells us, quote, I also beheld the four winds which bear up the earth and the firmament of heaven. It's firmament. I love it. I then surveyed the receptacles of all the winds, perceiving that they contributed to adorn the whole creation and preserved the foundation of earth. The first wind is called the eastern because it is the first. The second called the south because the Most High there descends. And frequently there descends he who is blessed forever. The western wind has the name of diminution because there are all the luminaries of heaven are diminished and descended. The fourth wind, which is named the north, is divided into three parts. The east wind is the wind of the morning, the wind that brings the freshness of a new day. Ezekiel says that God, the glory of God, comes from the way of the east, just as the east wind brings renewed life to the earth. So does the mystic east wind bring renewed life for the power of the soul. As the first breath of day comes from the east, so should the first walking breath and waking breath correlate with the power of the east wind by repeating some sacred text, such as the morning prayer of this order. There's a mystic potency in the first thoughts held and the first words uttered, for they strike the keynote for the day. Therefore, concentrate upon some uplifting text, prayer, or thought, and let it abide with you in the undercurrents of your consciousness during the day. Pause. This is why in my other work, the Spiritual Soul Advice, I do recommend when you're taking, let's just say, a lot of people do their showering differently. Do what resonates with you, though, with that. I'm not here to judge. But in the morning, you brush your teeth. Have on your mirror, I am worthy. I love myself. If you can't say it to yourself, read it. Oracle cards. Something with an affirmation, something with positive reinforcement that you're going to start your day and it's going to be an amazing one. And if it doesn't become an amazing one, then give yourself compassion and grace and change your reaction to it. Do the little things that become habits that will become something you incorporate in your life that you don't even have to think about. You're just doing. You're just reading it, you're seeing it, you're absorbing it, you're taking it in day out. It's important because change takes time. And just like a diet, a lot of people fail because they give up. And again, no judgment on anybody, because to err is to be human. We all have flaws, right? So this is a perfect example of how you should start your day every day. And even if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you're hurting and you want to F it all, right? Take that as a moment to give your blessing that you woke up. Be grateful that once you start moving, your day is going to be a better one. You know, we're human. We have emotions. We have hormones. We have chemistry within us that sometimes goes amok. But when we give ourselves compassion for those things and we give ourselves grace to move past it and through it and absorb it and say, okay, I don't want you anymore. I don't want this feeling. I'm going to shift it. And you do that. As my back is like giving me problems now. The south wind is the wind which brings growth, unfoldment, and perfection to the earth and causes the soil to put forth in a greater fullness in everyday life the strength and beauty garnered and assimilated during the winter time. The south wind brings the summertime of the soul, when all things come and seem to go well. Although even during the period, the husbandman of the soul life, like the husbandman of the soil, must watch and foreguard against the little insects that prey upon his crops, must protect them from drought and storms and prune off all abnormal growths that they may reach perfection. While the south wind is balmy and pleasant, it does not carry the mariner on his way as rapidly as the fiercer winds from the north and the west. Yet its force must be utilized to advance the progress of the ship toward its port. The west wind is said to be disastrous, but only as it brings to the individual life its fulfillment and to the earth its harvest. It brings the rest and refreshment of ebb and tide, both to the life and to the earth, the period when both enjoy fruits of their labors. Hence, we may accept our compassion and compensation and complete understanding of the lessons of life to be brought to us by the wind from the west. The wind of the west brings sadness only if the harvest we have sown be tares instead of the wheat. But even so, only as we courageously reap the harvest can we learn to sow more wisely. It is in the west that we may look for the close of the present turbulent conditions and for a peaceful gardening of the fruits which ripen as the result of the lessons which humanity has learned. Do you guys think we're going through that stage? Share with me. What do you think? We are told that at the second coming of the Christ, his light shall shine from the east even unto the west. This is but one of many prophecies indicating that it is in the west that the great gathering of the elect will take place to make ready for the great coming of the great world teacher so soon to arrive and appear. For it is in the cool of the day, or as the sun sets in the west, that we must meet the Lord in the garden or the place where the fruitage of experience is garnered. Here we may sit at his feet after the strife and turmoil of the day and learn the great lessons, which shall prepare us for the new day of the sixth great race. For the sixth and seventh sub-races are the eventide or closing period of the fifth great race. The north wind brings the chilling blast which stripped the leaves from the trees, scattered the seeds far and wide, and usher in the winter season. The sky is laden, frowning, ominous. The wind comes in vicious gusts that chill and shrivel all living things, or it howls and shrieks in a terrifying gale, which wrecks the ships that is not staunch and true and well captained, that sweeps before it everything that is not well rooted or established on a firm foundation. It spreads a protecting sheet of ice over the streams and lakes that the life within them may be protected. It brings the whirling, blinding snow, which spreads its mantle of white over the earth, and the children of its bosom, that they may be protected and find the rest and peace in which the forces of life may be indrawn into the mother earth, and the experiences of the summer digested, that they can be prepared to manifest anew under new conditions. So must it be in our lives. From the north wind is none other than King Desire, whose fierce breath chills and shrivels and brings disaster. He has a seat in the sign of Scorpio, the adversary, whose sting poisons the whole man. Yet when conquered and lifted up becomes the eagle, the bird of life and freedom, which can graze unflinchingly into the eye of the sun. Desire as a principle, the negative aspect of divine will, an expression of desire of the divine for manifestation, in one sense is the fundamental cause of all manifestation. But when there is principle becomes personal in the individual as human desire, it reaches both upward and downward, governed and controlled by free will. As long as there is any experience or sensation on earth which attracts us, our desire is turned outward, downward, earthward. And we must experience that desire, we are satisfied unless we transmute it by a higher desire or by our will. As long as our desires turn earthward, desires for possession of things or places, of approval or applause, for the gratification of sensation and self-indulgence, their satisfaction always leaves the sting of the scorpion. Only when we realize that our Father in heaven will supply all things needed for our best good on earth, and we no longer waste our thought power desiring physical things, can our desires fly upward like an eagle into the higher realms and become one with the will of our Father, and so do his will on earth, even as it is done in heaven. Thought arises before desire. The thought acts on the brain an organ, and the animal desire awakens. The student must guard his thoughts. Understanding this, we will realize the significance of the promise. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. For your heavenly Father knoweth that he have need of all these things. This understand King Desire becomes not our temper, but a most beneficent helper on our path of self-mastery. And again, this is something that I've been trying to encapsulate in my own experience to help everybody else out. It's finding the kingdom of God within yourself. Everybody's looking for external things, Jasara, Nasara, and the RV, and all these things. It resides within you. You have to make a conscious choice. Yes, in this reality, money, commerce is something that we live by to function, to get food, to buy food, right? Like, you're not growing an avocado tree in Northwest Indiana. I'm going to tell you that right now, right? So we have to have some sort of commerce and some sort of back and forth in order to get the gain things we need. And those might be from other parts of the country, right? So there is an exchange of things. But the first part of understanding this, and this took me a little longer to learn, is divine timing and God's will and your contract. Like I said last year, I don't know how, but I made it through, and it was because other people stepped in to help me, right? But I put my faith in God somewhere in there, going through it, and really started reflected inside to change my mind to say, well, today's a new day, and how am I going to conquer it? We're going to get through this, Allison. You're going to get through this. You're going to provide for your cats. You're going to provide for yourself. How does this look? And I did a lot of inner work. I did a lot of clearing. I had to detach when you physically die, you just go in a casket or you go into the furnace to get your ashes made, right? You're not taking anything with you. And if you do get buried with stuff, there's only a small little tube box that you can fit enough shit in that's yours. You're not taking it with you on the next level. When your physical vehicle goes, that's it. Your energy transforms. It's not taking everything that's in around you. Let's be practical. You will it to people who can use it. So some people, like my mom, willed everything to me, and I could do with what she wanted. And she wanted certain things to be delegated to different people, and I abide by her wishes. Mostly everything went to me. We do all the same thing when we write our will, our last will and testament. Like I want to donate my book library one day to a kid's library. All my gems and stuff will go to people who want and can use the energy off of those gems. They're not going with me. I had a learning, I learned last year, this time, I had to give a lot up. I had to detach the energy from my parents. I had to transcend it. I had to pawn a lot of things. I had to give a lot away. And I can only take the things that I had sentimental value to me to carry my parents' legacy with me. That's not that much. I can only fit so much in a truck. So when you detach from the physical and make sure that everything in your space is something you're using almost on an everyday basis, that are uplifting you, that makes you happy, that you're using. These are the things that you keep. And if there's something sitting around that no longer serves you a purpose, repurpose it and give it to somebody else that can use it, or throw it out. Although I'm into the recycling thing, I think you can reshape and reform something to make it better for yourself or for somebody else. It's really time that it's saying more in a godly way, the advice I've been trying to convey to everybody in the last couple of videos I've done on the spiritual stuff. We got to find the divinity within. For the first thing you need to do. Back to the book. North wind blows in many ways in our lives as individuals. For each and every one must meet this great king and conquer the power of his icy breath. For the effect of the north wind desire is cold and shriveling to the soul, like a blast of wind force into a furnace. It transforms the steady, quiet flame of love into a raging, consuming passion. The north wind comes to us to test the strength of our roots, to see if we are rooted in truth, to wipe out old conditions and prepare for a new. We're here now. This is happening to us now. The north wind will also play its part in bringing to the earth the disasters which will mark the beginning of the cataclysmic changes which are to come and which are even now taking place. But as these apparent disasters come, both in our individual lives and to the earth, realize that they are the great north wind sweeping away, which is holding us back from entering upon a new condition. They do not come by chance, but are guided by the divine love of wise and beneficent powers for the best good of ourselves, humanity, and the planet as a whole. I call it the great cleansing. It is the force generated by the mystical north wind that shall roll away the stone from the sepulchre of our lives. And as we find the stone rolled away, many of us may start back, appalled to find only empty grave clothes where we thought to find the Christ. How many of us have had something we valued above all else that seemed to be our Lord of life taken from us, and we have laid it in a tomb and have sealed it with a great stone? Often this stone is fashioned from our hearts, grown hard and bitter, because our Lord of life has been taken from us, and we know not where they have laid him. There are many, many such, many who are carrying through life the memory of such a death and burial, many whose hearts close the mouth of a sepulchre in which their hopes and dearest wishes lie buried. This may be the physical loss of a loved one who seemed necessary to lean on, but who may have been removed only to teach the soul. Key effing word. Teach the soul to lean upon its own inner touch with divinity. Thank you, Curtis's. Thank you. That's profound. Again, I lost 3 parents. 2, I've been there physically to do the work, to cross them over. My birth mother and my uncle were taken out by self-infliction. I had friends die of brain cancer, osteosarcoma, ODs, overdoses, ODs. I've had a lot of loss, and that's within the first 30 years of my life. And then from the last 10 years, I had a whole megaton more. It's just a vessel. We have to understand, and I know this is hard for a lot of people to grasp this concept, because you've been taught not to look within and see the signs that are being given to you. My parents are always with me. I have a better relationship with my parents, that they're higher in density, more understanding and knowing of a bigger picture than they were when they were here with their little tiny picture, and they didn't expand. My mother only expanded right before she died because they were helping her to transition. She saw shit, and she finally admitted to me that she now understands me right before she's dead, right? If you lose a child, that sting is very, very heavy. But understand that their season came and left, and they imparted on you many great wisdoms and learnings and teachings, as you did and imparted that on them. If you stop looking at life with the attachment to things, and you understand it's just there for an experience, they chose you to be a part of their lives for the season that they're here for. That's all that matters. And a season could be a decade, it could be a century, whatever it is. We're only here for a limited amount of time. Even if we do ascend with our physical bodies, we're all not making it at the same time. We're all needing to understand we need to lean on ourselves. Because at the end of the day, I was taught that is the biggest lesson. I can only rely upon myself. And not that I don't have help from other people, but I really have to, I'm the anchor for my own ship. That was my biggest lesson last year and the year before. No one can sign the paperwork for me to make my decisions. I got to make those decisions for myself. No one else can make those decisions for me. No one can make your decisions for you. Yeah, you might have a family that comes together, but at the end of the day, you are the judge, ruler, and executioner of your choices. This is huge. And I don't know if you guys saw that little thumbs up thing. Don't know if you saw that, but if you did, I don't know where that came from. But that's spirit telling you yes. Seriously, I had a little like thought bubble pop up, and then there was a thumbs up as I was talking. There it is. So if you saw that, awesome. If not, Zoom is being weird and spirit is saying hi. That's just so bizarre. So bizarre. Anywho, back to the book. Or it may be some disappointed hope or some affliction of the body, which they have sealed up in the tomb of their mind, where they often go to weep and lament or to curse the fate that has willed it so. Then comes the great north wind and sweeps them off their feet. Tears from their lives, all those things to which they have clung so long. By its force, the stone they thought so firm to torn from its foundations rolled away, and they find in their sepulchre no Lord of love, no cherished idol, but only the grave clothes of that which has passed away long since. Moreover, if they come to the sepulchre at dawn after the bitter north wind has blown all the night long, they will find an angel waiting for them, saying, "He is not here, he has risen." It's true. Why seek ye the living among the dead? It's true. What is the meaning of the symbol? It is this: there is nothing that is called out by our true, unselfish love that can rest in the grave. Its essence must rise and become a part of our true self, for we cannot lose anything that is true and pure. Do not hover over the graves in life, for nothing can remain in the grave but the mere outward covering which we ourselves have woven about the thing we loved. There are no sepulchres which require the hardening of our hearts to seal up, no dark or dismal caverns where our Lord and our loved one rests. Nothing that has awakened in our heart one living spark of divine love and has then apparently been taken from us and dead. Nor can it rest in the grave, for it is risen into the great and mighty oneness of divine love, which includes the little things of life as well as the great. When the bitter north wind blows and our lives seem to be going in pieces, when petty cares like the dust and debris cast up by the wind are flying about us on every hand, perhaps blinding us, when the sun of righteousness and the moon of intuition are darkened and the star of intuition and initiation seems to be withdrawn its light, look up, for behold, our redemption is nigh. When we have looked up, we will realize the lesson and go fearlessly into the tomb and see for ourselves that the Lord of love has risen. For the stone of misunderstanding and hardness of heart has been rolled away by the King of the North. True love is divine, immortal, hence can never die. No force of love that we have ever experienced can ever be lost. For as we rise, we shall find the full sense of all the love we have poured forth into manifesting to us in a higher expression. For as the eagle in us flies upward, it will find all that we thought dead and buried waiting for us in the heart of the sun. Often they are taken from us that our desires may be drawn upward and become the will for the higher expression. That last line just spoke the biggest truth that I have come to know in my spiritual journey. I had to lose it all, including the two people that raised me that I loved unconditionally, and connected with, that gave me a chance at life, they gave me another chance after their death. And I didn't fully embrace what I am until 2 years ago. And I love myself. And going through that difficulty I did, I started to understand what it all meant. And I applied this exact words. Often they are taken from us, that our desires may be drawn upward and become the will of the higher expression. And that's what many of us are working towards right now. I see my eyes really, really lazy. I'm sorry, guys. Trying. Sorry, guys. I needed to get chapstick. As much as I have been drinking a lot of water, way more than I normally do. I drink a lot of water, and I do put Celtic sea salt in, and then I have lemon water, and oh, I am going through that ascension symptom. Holy moly, it's real. And it's really highly annoying. Okay, back to the book, because this next part, true love is divine, immortal, hence it can never die. No force of love that we have ever experienced can be lost. So if you love your parents, your sons, your daughters, your uncles, your aunts, your grandparents, that love never ceases to be. That light and your light will meet once again. Be assured of that. When you pass away, there's no fear. You have your guides, your angels, your guardians, and some loved ones that will come to meet you, to welcome you, to reunite. And then eventually they go on their own path and you go on yours. That's just how it is. When you understand and encapsulate the understanding that we are all one, individuated, we are having an experience, we are all one. End of the story. And we'll be back with them in some form after this experience. And they will meet us. Remember, we are all contracted when we come down here to have experiences to learn and grow from. I taught my parents a shit ton without their understanding until now they understand why I came into their existence. My adoption was planned from upstairs. They knew coming in what I was going to be imparting on them, and they taught me a megaton. But at the end of the day, it was just for an experience. And their lessons were done with. Their time on this planet was over. And they took their leave. As painful as it was for me to go through it in the moment, I see the beauty in that transformation. I've seen my father horrifically in a lot of pain because of the disease he had. I was freaking happy. I cried happy tears when he died. Not of sadness, of happiness. I didn't want to see my father suffer anymore. The same with my mother. That was one of the longest days. I can relive that day time, in and out of time space. My father didn't die in my presence, my mother did. My father was in the ICU and the hours were very limited. My mother, I was there and I crossed her over. Not easy. But at the end of the day, her funeral, I smiled. It was 4 degrees outside when she got buried. It sucked. But you know what? I smiled through it because I knew she was in a better place. And she was happy that I did what she asked. And I went above and beyond. When you know this for your own self, you turn those sad tears into happy tears because you rejoice in cheerfulness, knowing what you imparted on another person is life-changing. It's momentous. Knowing even if it is out of suffering and pain, that you got a lesson and you got to learn. That person was in your life for a purpose. You transcend the negative and turn it into the positive. What did you learn from this experience? It's not easy to do. But when you get there, it is beautiful. It's beautiful and it's necessary to go through those emotional states. Mourning happens differently for everybody. But when we understand the purpose of life, we actually understand why other people are in your life. Why did you choose to come into this situation? Your better understanding now will help you move forward. You don't want to sit in stagnancy. You don't want to sit in sadness and depression. You don't want to think bad things about what happens when you die and someone took their lives. You know what? My mother's upstairs and she's doing wonderful things. My uncle's upstairs. He's doing wonderful things. He's healing. And I know this for my own self. You can't prove any of this. You have to go in with the divine faith and trust. Humans need tangible evidence. But when are we going to go and put some faith in God itself, all the infinite intelligence, the creative spirit? When are you going to throw your faith in there, knowing that everything is of its plan, its energy, its frequency? It's beautiful when you can encapsulate that in your own body. That's why this message and these words need to come out today. Because this is where a lot of people are stuck in the detachment. People are stuck. And you're going to be stuck and continuously do if you don't change your mind. And that takes time and it takes training and it takes the bicycle having training wheels at times. It's okay. We're, again, all human and we're allowed to have these expressive emotional states. But when you see things and why they're here and why did God do this and why did this experience happen, you free yourself. And I only know this by my own experiences. Thus, we find that each of the 4 winds has its times and its seasons, and each's work to accomplish in the development and perfection of the soul life. Couldn't spell that out any better. Let us enjoy the pleasant winds while they blow, but also let us trim our sails to take advantage of the north wind when its season comes. Let us take comfort in the knowledge that though the north wind is fierce and cold, it will sweep us most rapidly on our journey. We'll call out all our powers and seamanship, and will take from us only those things which retard our progress. Thus do the regions of the four winds with their hosts or armies of living powers bring to the earth and to mankind their particular forces without which evolution could not be completed. For this we learn the great lesson of unity in diversity, that each soul must work out its own salvation in its own way, just as the winds accomplish their own work, even though apparently adverse. As well might the south wind condemn the north wind, or the east wind the west, as for students to condemn those who accomplish their work in life in different ways. Meditation upon this chapter should awaken in the student a larger idea of the necessity of making use of every wind that blows, be it from the north, south, the east, or the west. Let us utilize the power and make it our servant. In other words, let us learn the lessons from every event and circumstance in our life and environment, that we may make our life one with the great law. I'm going to end it there on the book, but my goodness. Here's a book with tangible words to read. I make videos. Their words are almost the same as mine. We just convey it a little differently. But I say the same things in my videos. This is all about, this is school. Earth, Dolores Cannon says this, Earth is school. You're here to have an experience. You're here to learn. You're here to transcend what no longer serves you, so you can graduate. And many of us are here donning a new era, donning the robes that we successfully made it through this life and all the other lives we have lived. It's our time. Are you going to hold yourself back? Do something stupid like cut school so that you can be cool with the cool kids? We did that already multiple lifetimes, right? We weren't ready to graduate, but now we are. And we really have to take this time to do the work so that we're in our doctorate and we have our big entirety of our work in one smackdown book. Are you going to make it the best book? Or are you going to do Joe Biden and insert, I'm not doing the work, other people have done the work, I'm just going to copy it? We all must realize it's an individual journey, but we all have to do it together. And when we all come together in our numbers, we all do the inner work of love, unconditional love, compassion for all, not just some, right? Because we're pointing, the majority of society is still pointing fingers at each side. They're wrong, they're wrong, they're right, they're right, they're the people who cannibalize and do the most horrific things still would be given graciousness and compassion by Yeshua Melchizedek. For they know not. For everyone that is on your opposite end of whatever spectrum you choose to point a finger at or to judge, they're just expressions of you. We're all one. They're playing a role you're not. We just have to put a nip in the bud to stop the hate, to stop the division, to stop pointing fingers. If they didn't do what they did, we wouldn't be awake. We wouldn't remember those other lives. We wouldn't. They wouldn't know what right looked like if we didn't put it out into the universe either. So it's twofold. We're learning from them what not to do, and they're learning from us what to do. And free will choice, some of them are here to be saved so that they can come with us because their minds are unclear. Again, we have a lot of manipulation and a lot of brainwashing and a lot of things implementing those things outside of human constructs. So if we are sitting here and playing a toot the horn in one direction kind of thing, we have to stop. It is not easy to stop pointing fingers at things and people that do horrible things or that cause harm to others. But we have to have the grace and understanding that that's God's design. That's what they assign themselves to happen to them to wake them up in another way. And who are we to judge those things? Oh, but the kids, they signed up just like we did for those experiences, and don't think you didn't have those experiences. Your unconscious and subconscious reawakening will not allow you to see those lives. They're not important unless there's something that did take place that you need to retrieve from those lives. Most of the time you won't see them, even if you do QHHT, a soul retrieval, whatever have you. Your higher self knows what's right for you to see and what's not. And then everything has divine timing onto it anyway. We have to all understand, we've done this, we've been here, we've done that before. We played the victim, they played the murderer. One life we played the murderer, they were the victim. When are we going to detach from this group did something, that group did something, this group? It's division, and that's what they want, and that's the fear and the divisiveness they want us to serve into their creative manifestation, because they can't manifest. We do it for them. We have to stop this. We have to come to neutrality. We have to see both sides of the coin. No, we do not have to accept their deeds, but we can't judge it either, because it's a part of the experience. It's all lessons. What did you learn from the last 5 years? What did you learn? I bet you a megaton. And that learning is only going to steer you forward, not backwards. It's all about natural law, the laws of the universe, the law of one. When you become at one with yourself, when you can go within your heart space, your gut, and your third eye, unifying them all, listening to each component, and understanding the laws of the universe, what source wanted for all of us, because we are him. Well, then you have a better understanding of the nonsense going on, and you transcend it, because does it really affect you? Yes and no. We're watching a movie right now. What are movies? They're fake. There's a lot of programming that goes into that too. Predictive programming. Full disclosure. Once you know the truth, you don't need it anymore. You move on. And it's not to say not to know what the history is, because we should not repeat it. We need to understand what happened to us. We need to have all the knowing that we can possibly absorb into this vehicle we call humanness to understand what was done. But we learn it and not stay and harbor and stew in the muck. We need to rise and look up to the light. And we need to go within to see that light in the most clearest way. Everything is a lesson. Every wind that blows, every season that comes, all serve a purpose. Find that purpose within yourself. Start doing the work. Start going within. They'll be better for it. And you could see my own transformation in the last year and a half. Watching me doing the videos. And if you're new to my channel, go back and see what I looked like a year ago. And it isn't pretty. I had very similar words, but now I keep getting more clarity because I keep continuing to do the deeper work. It's not easy. My knowledge, my abilities are not just happen in a flash. I had to develop them. I had to work on myself. And that work never ends. There's always room for improvement. It's trial by error. And sometimes you do foul up. But you learn and you move forward. You don't let it eat away at your soul because you didn't get something you wanted, or have faith that something better will always come into your circumstances if you allow it to. You have to allow the change to happen, and you have to give in to the universe and give it to source. I did last year, and I had expectations and I shouldn't have had. But look where I am now. And it's only going up. I will refuse to go back down. Refuse. I've had to fight for my life way too many times. Again, like I said, nothing comes easy for me. Nothing. Everything. I have to work 25 times harder than everybody else to achieve the same results. That's just how my soul processes things. And it's to understand the deeper lessons. And that's only because of what I am. I know what I am. Do you know what you are? If you do, encapsulate it. Bring it within you. Try to manifest it now out. Because all the love that you have within and your cup is full. Now this is the time to become the biggest lighthouse for everybody around you. Strangers, it doesn't matter. Your neighbors are being encapsulated and enclosed in your fields because you're shining so much brighter. That's going to shift them slowly, but it's going to shift them to think differently. It's going to shift them to start waking up. Even if they're not meant to wake up, they're still going to figure it out eventually, the truths of the situation. Whether they align with it or not, that's not up to your discourse to know. Does it really matter? Not really. What's going to play out is going to play out. And we have to go through it in order to really understand it. That's why things have not yet taken flight in the world. it keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. Because when more people go in, they start figuring it out. Greatness will ensue. So with that, guys, sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding. Please have a great start to your weekend. Please do some inner work. Make little changes each day. This was a fantastic chapter. I was going to go further, but I'm going to leave it here because it's a lot to absorb. And again, hearing it is one thing. Reading it is another, but really doing the work to like actualize it is another. Be the change maker in your own life so that you can be the lighthouse. And again, stop putting expectations on when other people are supposed to wake up. Because I'm going to tell you now, not everybody is meant to. And that is hard to go through, see it, watch it. But they're not meant to go this time. They're going to go next round. We did this in Atlantis. We just don't remember. And many of us that have our memories from Atlantis actually remember that the other people that did ascend just disappeared. And the people like me didn't just disappear. They ushered in the next dawn of Dan by the Awaspe book. They ushered in after Atlantis fell. Egypt, Tartaria. Those people didn't necessarily not graduate, they did. But they were the way showers for the next season. And the people that ascended moved on into the next densities to live their lives differently. While the waymakers and the way showers were here to help show the way. And when their time was, they surpassed where those other people had to ascend to. You go where your light is most absorbent and most able to handle. Again, Pistos Sophia tells you that, and I agree with that. I hope you'll all have a wonderful weekend. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Just for newer people, my main platform is YouTube. I'm not the biggest fan of Rumble. I'd sync to Rumble, but I am not on Rumble, and I wouldn't do lives on Rumble. It's a lot. And I have a lot of gremlins over there that don't like me. So far, YouTube is much better for my own self, but I have Rumble as a backup, and I have BitChute. So for all of those on Rumble and BitChute, hi. I don't care where you see or how you find me, whatever platform. I just happen to use YouTube as my prime. But if you're interested in my artwork to support me, it's an equal energy exchange. I encapsulate a lot of my light in these pieces. I clear and cleanse the gems. There is no epoxy layers in the in-between. It is all stone. And these take at least 7 days to make. Maybe more. Depends on my temperature of my house. But I'm talking about the big ones. The little ones don't take that 6 days. So if you're interested in something, email me. I work with people. I also have candles. Inexpensive, $15. It's not bad. You should see how expensive things are getting across the board. Inflation is real. And I'm charging at cost. I'm not charging for my labor. So while other people escalate prices, I'm keeping mine fair. So please check out my website. Please support me as best as you can. Share. It's really important to get this work done. And of course, I can't force any of you to do it. But if I could seed you to do it, that's all my intention is. So guys, I hope to see you on the next one. And until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day and night, wherever you are in the world.